融聚智慧，方能融创价值，融你我，融无限。江苏银行。
本节目由江苏银行冠名播出。
德克勒克是南非的最后一任白人总统，和已故的南非国父曼德拉被并称为推动南非民主改革的黑白双星。1936年，他出身于南非的白人政治世家，早年曾经做过律师。1972年进入政坛，1989年2月正式出任南非的国民党主席，同年9月当选了南非总统。德克勒克上台之际，南非正处于政治的动荡时期，长期的种族隔离政策使得黑人和白人之间的矛盾越来越激烈，暴力冲突此起彼伏。德克勒克决心推动实质性的政治变革。在1990年的2月份，他宣布解除对非洲人革命大会等反种族主义统治政党和组织的禁令，并于不久后无条件释放曼德拉，震惊全球。此后德克勒克政府围绕政治解决南非问题举行多党谈判，于1993年就政治过渡安排达成了协议，并通过了南非共和国宪法草案。他也因此与曼德拉分享了当年的诺贝尔和平奖。1994年的4月，南非大选，曼德拉当选总统，德克勒克出任第二副总统。1996年的6月，他辞去副总统一职，1年之后辞去了南非国民党主席的职务，退出政坛。不久前，已是耄耋之年的德克勒克在深圳出席第3届大梅沙中国创新论坛，并接受了财新时间的专访。从废除种族隔离制度到实现南非的社会转型，他究竟是如何评价那段惊心动魄的岁月的呢？
President De Klerk,thank you for taking time with us. So actually you brought an end to the apartheid in South Africa. This is really a lifetime achievement. But I'm just wondering what drove you to make this determination in that time?
It was a process which started when I entered politics. I supported segregation, apartheid in my young days because we believed we could build a little Europe there, with separate country for the Zulus and a separate country for the other 8 black nations and a separate country for us, the whites. But it didn't work out. It failed. Separate, independent, but working together. That was what I'd supported as a young man. But it failed. Instead, it led to the minority of whites dominating the blacks, which was morally indefensible. So I and my fellow leaders in the National Party said to ourselves in discussions which we had behind closed doors, we cannot go on with this, it's wrong. Our conscience said we must change fundamentally and drastically. We must break with the concept of separateness, and we must start to think inclusively of all South Africans, irrespective of their race or color or language or ethnicity. So it was conscience-driven. Also, we realized from our side, and the freedom movements realized from their side, nobody is going to win this war. There is not a solution through the barrel of a gun. Hundreds of thousands of people will be killed, but in the end we'll have to talk to each other. Nobody will have a victory, and the country will be totally destroyed. So it was practicality and spirituality, which together worked to bring me to say, this must be changed about, and not over a long period. Let's do it dramatically now, within 5 years.
I think in February 1990, you lifted the ban on ANC, and several days later, you released Nelson Mandela. So with hindsight, I think this is a very critical moment in the history of South Africa. Actually, you paved the way for the democratic transition into the non-racial democracy. So with hindsight, did you realize the importance of your activities in February 1990?
Not only with hindsight do I realize the importance of what I announced on the 2nd of February 1990. I knew it when I announced it. As I walked into Parliament to deliver that speech, I said to my wife, she didn't know what I was going to say. South Africa will never be the same again. I had full realization, but not only me, my whole cabinet, all my ministers knew what I was going to say. And I had them behind me. I had their support for it. We were a team. It wasn't just me. So yes, we realized the far-reaching consequences. We couldn't anticipate exactly everything which happened. Of course, when you start fundamental change like that, it's almost like you get into a boat, into a river, and then suddenly you come to rough water.
Yeah.
And the boat is seized, and you can just keep the boat upright, and you have to steer. It's not so easy. But we got through the rough waters, and we negotiated a good constitution of which I am very proud, and which now forms the foundation of a successful South Africa.
南非在从种族隔离制度向新社会艰难迈进的过程中，能够避免大规模的流血冲突，基本实现和平过渡。德克勒克与曼德拉都是功不可没。1993年的10月15日，挪威的诺贝尔委员会宣布将诺贝尔和平奖同时授予两人，以表彰他们为消除南非种族歧视所做出的贡献。黑白双星共同登台领奖，一度占据了各大媒体的头条版面。
I couldn't have done it without having Nelson Mandela on the other side of the table. I influenced my people, he influenced these people. And what we succeeded in doing was putting ourselves in the other person's shoes. In that sense of the word, although we had differing views and opposing views, we also became a team. The way we avoided further violence was to start by drawing a list of what do we agree upon. And when we did that, we agreed upon many more things than we expected in the beginning. And from there we worked with the easier issues on what more can we agree. And only at the end we came to the most difficult issues. And negotiation succeeded because of the commitment from both sides and others who participated. It wasn't just two sides. The commitment to negotiate a solution and the knowledge and acceptance that the violent way can only destruct, it cannot bring a solution.
What were the most difficult parts in the negotiations?
Firstly, one of my most difficult tasks was to take a majority of the white people with me. They had the power to unseat me at any time. And there was a time when my opposition, who wanted to go on with apartheid, said, you don't have a mandate. You must call an election. And I said, no, we will test my mandate. And I called a referendum. And 69% of the whites then said, we give you the mandate, carry on with the negotiations. And that was that refreshed my mandate. And it helped me a lot. So my biggest challenge was to take a majority of whites with me, to convince them, although they had all the power at that stage, no, we must move to a new dispensation where all South Africans share the power between them.
So when you share the stage in Oslo with your lifetime opponents, counterparts, Nelson Mandela, what were on your minds? 1993, right?
When I got the Nobel Peace Prize, I was firstly somewhat surprised. I thought it might go to Mr. Mandela, but I thought because I come from an apartheid background, the committee would find it difficult to also give it to me. I think it was courageous of them. They showed courage.
Yeah.
Because giving it also to me was not popular. I was proud, not of myself, when I received it. I was proud of my people, the Afrikaner people, and the white people of South Africa, that they had risen above narrow self-interest.
Yeah.
And that they were prepared to support me in the negotiations and to accept the results in the way that they accepted it. So when I made my speech in Oslo, in Norway, I said, I accept this not for me, but for my people.
从1994年结束种族隔离制度至今，占南非总人口约80%，大部分黑人却并没有实现经济解放。数据显示，南非的失业率近年来持续徘徊在25%的高位，大量的黑人要么是无法找到工作，要么是从事家政、农业、矿业等低收入的职业。如何解决经济领域的种族隔离，创造就业，消除贫困，成为了南非政府亟待解决的一个难题。
20 or so years have passed since the end of apartheid. But now, if you look at the economic situation, economic landscape in South Africa, we still have seen a lot of particularly young black South Africans. They were stuck in poverty or economic distress. So in terms of the end of, economic apartheid, I think we still get a long way to go. So what's the way out?
Well, firstly, there's no longer such a thing. It's a political slogan to say there's economic apartheid.
No. Okay.
There are full economic opportunities for each and every South African who's prepared to work hard, who studied hard, who worked for good qualifications, and who are prepared to take risks. There are all sorts of schemes to help small businesses and medium-sized businesses. The black share in the economy has grown exponentially and quite dramatically, and it continues to grow. But the way in which that has been achieved has made the gap between the rich and the poor bigger. That's where the problem lies. We are one of the most unequal societies in the world. And the millions of black people who are very poor and whose children dropped out of school even before they finished school, they are very cross now with the present regime because there's a new millionaire every day. There is a lot of corruption. There's no question about that. And they see the affluence, not of whites just, they see the affluence of the haves. Many black affluence is visible for them, and they're getting angry, and they feel neglected because they've been promised a better life. So economically, the biggest challenge is to narrow the gap, is to ensure that the poorest of the poor benefit from creative socio-economic development plans, job creation plans. There are some plans on the table, but they need to be executed more effectively and more expeditiously.
In 2004, you were asked the question that whether South Africa that day, 2004, had a turnout the way you envisioned it. So I want to raise the same question to you after 12 years. I mean, the year 2016. So is today's South Africa turning out the way you envisioned that?
Broadly speaking, the reply is still yes. On the constitutional side, yes. Some of the institutions created by the Constitution are also performing as well as I hoped it would do. Economically speaking, I'm disappointed. Shortly after 1994, when the new dispensation started, our economy grew handsomely, even up to 5% per year. At the moment this year, our economic growth is 0.5%, less than 1%. It's to me a great disappointment. The main reason lies in a failing education system. And if you were to ask me what is the most important thing which needs to be done now in South Africa, it is improve the quality of our education and training. That will help to address the other big problem, our very high unemployment. We have 26% unemployment. But young black South Africans, between 18 and 30, I think 50% are unemployed. It's not a good situation, not for them and not for the country. But we need to upgrade the quality of our education. It's not a need for money. Education gets enough money. Amongst the leading countries in the world, if you look at the percentage of our budget which goes for education, but the quality of education needs to be improved. So, by and large, yes, we are on the right track. Yes, I have reason for concerns. There are quite a long list of things which are not going well enough in South Africa. And I think we'll get through these difficult times of the moment, economically speaking, and we'll get into calmer waters and sufficient growth to begin to successfully address our unemployment.
What failed the quality of your educational system? Could you be more specific?
I think one of the main causes lies at the basic school level, at the teaching profession. In many schools, teachers work only 3.5 hours a day. Research has shown. In the good schools, teachers work 8 hours a day. In many schools, the teachers are just not dedicated to their job. Or the principal of the school, the head of the school, is not disciplining his teachers. And it's not me saying this. The Minister of Education has said what I'm telling you now quite recently. So the real solution lies in having more dedicated, committed, motivated, hard-working teachers.
Are you optimistic about the outlook?
Yes, I remain optimistic, but my optimism is tempered by concern. Civil society in South Africa shares these concerns, and it's doing a lot around what the government does to improve the quality of education, giving classes outside of normal school time, helping in many ways. So the country is uniting around the issue of better education, of attacking and the problem of high unemployment, and of ensuring economic growth. The economic policies of the government are growth-oriented, but also political squabbles are undermining the confidence of investors. I think those political squabbles will come to an end in the medium and short term. And I think we are facing a new phase. That's why I'm optimistic. A new phase of more focused, more dedicated, and more quality leadership in the country.
回顾2016年的国际格局，经济低迷不振，英国脱欧，美国大选，特朗普胜出，令人始料不及。中东乱局交替升温，逆全球化的趋势暗流涌动，整个世界都充满了不确定性和不稳定性。作为老牌的政治家，德克勒克对于变数丛生的国际形势又有着怎样的判断呢？
You are very observant of global affairs, but today we have seen a wave of anti-establishment or anti-globalization movement. Brexit, and also Donald Trump's rise in American political scenes. So are you worried about those, anti-establishment or anti-globalization movement? So how today's leaders can deal with this problem?
To me, the answer lies in balance. Why do you have Brexit? Because the European Union wanted too much power to take away from the local governments, from the national governments of the states which are the members of the European Union. It's not only in England that there's a backlash against Brussels. It exists in many other European countries. So they went too far on the road of taking powers away from national governments. And this is a backlash. The answer lies in balance. Yes, globalization nobody can stop. It's a reality. There's nobody sitting in an office say, I drive globalization. It's happening. To now say, I fight against globalization, I become inward looking, I go and sit in my corner. Any country which does that will damage the interests of its people. The future lies in more open international trade. The future lies in more open societies and open communication. So, internationalization is a reality with which all countries should live. But there should be balance. Also the United Nations, also structures like the IMF and the World Bank and so on, must recognize the sensitivities of countries about their national pride and about their right to self-determination and about their sovereignty. Globalization shouldn't be allowed to destroy sovereignty of countries. But the leaders in all countries should not fight globalization. They should carve out a role for their country and their people in globalization from which such countries can benefit. On analysis, billions of people have benefited from globalization. But there are billions way behind. 1/3 of the world population is living in abject poverty, with hunger, not with a roof over their head, not a hope to ever have a good life. That's the challenge which we need to address next to climate change and next to how to manage diversity. It's part of the problem that you refer to in your question. Globalization results in all countries becoming more diverse. Europe's economy can't survive without bringing in millions, many millions of immigrants. They don't have population growth. How do they deal with those new immigrant communities? How do you manage ethnic, cultural, religious diversity? It's the third big challenge the world faces. So poverty, managing diversity, climate change. Those are the three big challenges.
When one politician is required to deal with the three challenges you mentioned, that climate change, manage diversity, and
addressing poverty.
So what should be characters or traits shared by a 21st century leader when they deal with these three challenges?
Well, firstly, integrity. Secondly, accepting accountability. Thirdly, they must be visionary. They must have vision. Just managing the status quo is not good enough. Accepting the challenge that things need to change in many fields and developing a vision. Where do I want to see my country to be in 5 years, in 10 years, and in 20 years? And then drawing up action plans. And fourthly, leaders must surround themselves with competent people who are not afraid of them, who are prepared to debate with the leader, who don't tell the leader just what will please the leader, but who will put the facts before the leader. And leaders must have, all this means must have open minds.